So hello guys, and welcome to the first lesson of the last chapter. You did it so far, so this is the last one, and I hope you liked the previous chapters. So let's start with an empty geometry container. Let me save this quick here to the courses. Radial growth underscore course, so you can get the hip file. So let's start with a simple geometry node here, and let's call it growth. Let's dive in. And first of all, we need something to displace. So we will get some. You can pretty much displace everything, but I use a normal grid at the beginning, but we will make some R&D too. So let's copy here, let's get the rows down here, so just grab the rows and go to the columns, let it go and press relative channel reference, so you will get always the same number or the same value in this channel from above. So let's get 150, not 1000, 150, so something like that. That's alright. Let's get here an add, and we want to add one single point. So that's little point right here. So let's scale the grid a little bit down to maybe 1 by 1. I think that's enough. And let's make two null nodes here. So let's make here an in for the geo, so the geometry for the growth. And let's make here an in start point. So the start point for the growth. So now we want to get here transform, so we can transform the point, so we can move it like maybe here or a position that you like. So I will choose that position right here. And now let's place an attribute web. Let's get a party started. Let's name this growth radial. And let's get a geo in the first input and the start point in the second input. And now we want to do some simple steps, so let's color this red for the output. First of all, we make a noise, so you can use different noises. I will use the anti-aliased noise. You can later place a switch and switch between noises and build a little asset. But for the beginning, let's use an anti-aliased noise. Anti-aliased noise into the position. So we get a geometry position here and pipe it into the anti-aliased noise. And let's get an add. So we add the noise to the original position. Let's switch them with Shift R. And we want to measure the distance. So let's measure the distance from our position to our starter point. So we need to import our starter point. So let's get our import point attribute. So this thing here. We want to get a vector 3, so we get a position and just use here the second input. So this will use the second input right here, so 0, 1, 2 and 3, and this will use the second input, so this input right here. So let's dive inside again, and we want to get a position. So we get a pt num, so this is currently, let's get a constant, and this is integer, and this is point number 0. So now we can measure the the distance from our original position with the noise compared to the position of the radial start point over here. So let's dive back in, and now we want to transform this. So let's get the frame as an input, and let's make a fit range. And the cool thing, it's from the beginning it's time dependent. So let's get the parameters up. Promote parameter, blah blah, and that's it. So now let's dive inside here. So go here under edit parameter interface. Let's get here, and the minimum source will be the minimum frame. So frame min, and this will be frame max. So frame max, something like that. Cool. So let's hit apply and accept, and let's move that to maybe 120 frames. So our growth will end in 120 frames. So now we need to make, of course, a transformation. So let's get a transformation matrix. Let's pipe that into the transformation, and let's pipe the X form to an add. So the distance will be dependent on the time with the fit, and then we will ramp this. So let's get a ramp here, ramp parameter, and this to the color. And you see something happened, but we also want to get this value here on a custom attribute. So let's get a bind export here, and let's bind it out. So we will use this ramp here to bind an attribute out, and let's call this attribute displays. Displays and free floats as a vector. So we can use this later to displace the geometry, and that's it. So you can add here more noises. Let's play with the noise a little bit, something like that, and let's have a look. It works already. That's cool. So now the cool thing is you can let's rearrange that here. Let's get a ramp above these here. Yeah, that's better. And the cool thing is now you can play with it already. So let's get the minimum here down. So we want 120. It will be fully grown. So something like here. And let's adjust the minimum value so it's pure white, or we don't have the attribute growth. So from 1 to 120 the growth is fully over the surface. And that's basically it, but let's get a little bit more stuff into it. So we got our growth radial here, and let's get a rest position. Let's get a rest position right here, pipe it in. Now we got a rest position of the geometry, and let's make another attribute WAP. So for this attribute WAP we will name it maybe remap, so we can remap it. So we got our basic growth here, that's cool, and we can move our position, so something like that. So it will start from the center of the geometry. So let's make this 0 and 0, and let's dive into it here, and I need to look it up quick. So let's get a bind, and with this bind we will get our displace attribute into the WAP. And our displacement attribute is the values of this growth ramp. So we'll bind it here out, and we will bind it here in. So just again, place a bind here, and let's bind our displays. So displays, type displays in the name window, and we need to change it to free floats to the vector. So now we can displace the surface. So let's get a displace along normal. Let's get an amount here. Let's maybe promote the scale, and let's bind, or let's export this out to the position. And the cool thing is we will get something like this. But we want to influence this, so let's get a ramp here between these one, and let's change it to spline. So another stuff we will make, let's make here a ramp. Let's pipe it in here, and let's call this color remap. So the color remap, and let's bind this one out to the color, so we can remap the color later. And let's call this color underscore remap, and this is the displace ramp, so displace ramp, and the color remap, and the displace ramp. Cool. Let's get this to 0 for now. And let's export this color here also, so bind export as a mask. And the cool thing is you can use it later. So this is binded out as a color, as a black and white color, and you can use this in Redshift or in another render engine as a mask. And you will see that later in the breakdown for the Nike shoe. So let's get out of it, and basically that's it. So we will got here our growth, and the cool thing is now we can displace it. So let's change them both to B-spline, so really smooth, and let's just add one here, one here, and let's get here let's invert the ramp, so something like this. And now you can play, make something like this, and of course that's way too high. So let's get here our value, or our scale here, maybe down to 0.1. And now you can already see we can transform here the whole geometry. And the cool thing is we can do something like this. Now it grows, and the geometry will get on another level, or we will make something like this. So let's remap it here a little bit. Let's make this pretty high, let's make it low, let's make it high, and you will get something like this. So this is maybe a pretty cool, let's get it like so. This is a cool effect, and you can always pipe the values here higher than 1. So that's the cool thing. So with this ramp, kind of ramp here, so we remap the displacement along the normal. Let's pipe here 250 to get a little bit more detail. Oh, not 2000, sorry. 250. The cool thing is you will get this secondary effect, so kind of here and again. And the cool thing is you can grow this over everything. So this is now, that's geometry. Let's get points. So let's make here a simple add. Let's get delete geometry but keep points, and it's the same thing, but now it don't displaces. So let's get a normal here, and we want to add normals to the points. So we got the normals in the up direction, and we will get something like this. So the points are now displaced too, and you can also make a little delay modifier or something like that to make it a little bit more organic. So that's pretty cool. Another thing I want to show you, I really like to do, is something, it's like a organic string growth, and I will show you that in the next lesson. So that's it for this lesson. Pretty cool, pretty simple, and you can really do a lot of stuff with it. So I will show you another example in the next lesson.